I love Minecraft because it comes in many shapes and sizes, like Minecraft on your phone, and Minecraft in VR, and even Minecraft on a calculator. But is it possible to turn Minecraft into a mixed reality game? Could I play Minecraft right here in my office? Well, to find out, I spent the last 3 days coding, animating, and having a nervous breakdown. And I know it seems like a lot of work for something no one really asked for, but I'm on a very important mission. See, my wife Chelsea is pregnant, which means I'm about to be a dad. Whoa. I'm about to be a dad. Holy frick. Oh man, it could be time to grow up, which means I have approximately 110 days to attempt everything my 15-year-old self could only dream of doing, like building my very own Minecraft mixed reality game. But there's a pretty big problem. I've only got about 5 days in total of game development experience, and I've never built a mixed reality game. But how hard could it be, right? Now, building Minecraft in its entirety would be a little bit overkill, so instead I'll have to build a unique Minecraft experience for mixed reality. And to do that, I'm going to include 3 iconic elements from Minecraft in my game. But first things first, I set up a new project in the Unity game engine. It took me a hot second to work out how to set it up for mixed reality. But after some tinkering, I had a fully functional mixed reality project. Oh, that makes my stomach feel weird. Okay, I know it's just a cube, but it feels like magic to me. Let's keep going. With everything set up, let's build an enemy for this game. Because everyone knows a great game needs a great bad guy. And name one bad guy that's better than the creeper. Sometimes when I wake up in the middle of the night and I get water, I'm kind of scared that when I turn around, a creeper's just going to explode behind me. Is that weird? So how do I make a creeper in Unity? My first thought was to try and model the creeper from scratch. But after watching a few videos on how to 3D model, I realized it was going to take hours to learn. And why would I do that when there are thousands of Minecraft models on the internet, made by way more talented people than me? So I went on a hunt for the perfect creeper model. And I was able to find a few models that looked pretty dang solid. But every time I tried to load them into Unity, I was hit with some troubles. See, a majority of these 3D models are in a format that Unity can't really handle. And even the ones that do load into Unity just don't really work. The textures don't connect. I'm not really sure how to make everything come together. But I kept looking for a solution. And I found a video that explained how to convert that file type for Unity. And after a little bit of messing around, I was able to get the textures connected. And it was looking pretty dang good. It was honestly wild just seeing the creeper standing there in my office. So let's slap on some animations and bring this thing to life. Yeah, look, you can't just slap on some animations to a 3D model. To animate a 3D object in Unity, it needs to have what's called an armature. Am I saying armature right?
Armature.
An armature is just like a bone structure for 3D models. And I know that because I watch VFX artists react every week. I can wrap my head around what an armature is and how it works, but I cannot wrap my head around how to connect the 3D model to the armature. After watching a bunch more videos, I started to realize that I might be better off building the armature and the 3D model in another software like Blender. We're breaking new ground today, boys. So I installed Blender and opened up a few models I'd already downloaded, only to realize that they already had armatures built in. So I exported them out of Blender, loaded them up, and realized, wait, I've never animated something as complex as walking before. So to save myself hours of animating, I tried to get a little fancy. In an attempt to avoid animating the creeper manually, I found this awesome looking procedural walking plugin. I have no idea how this works, but it looks great. So I spent my pocket money on the plugin and proceeded to spend hours attempting to connect the creeper to the procedural walking plugin. And after a bunch of messing around, I finally got it working. Oh man, this doesn't look right. Yeah, I don't think this is the best way to go. I might just have to animate. Why do I do this? Why do I try and avoid what I know I need to do? Frustrated I couldn't work out how to animate the creeper, I went looking for another 3D model to use. Except this time, I made sure to check the animated box. I didn't even realize that models could come pre-animated. Dude, I'm such a noob, far out. And by golly, I think I might have found what I was looking for. This creeper model not only looked sick, but it had a bunch of animations that were perfect. I think I've got it working, which is wild. Okay, so... Oh, look at him. Yes, that's so sick. What a little cutie. The creeper was looking so good, and the subtle animations gave it so much life. I was one step closer to Minecraft and mixed reality. And there's a really good chance that creeper's gonna scare the heck out of me. But you know what does freak me out? Running out of battery when I'm halfway through a Beat Saber sesh with the boys. It's honestly devastating. Which is why I've been using this power bank from today's video sponsor CookTech to keep my headset charged. This is a sleek and super light 10,000 milliamp hour power bank, which is about the size of like a large protein bar, which when I think about it makes a lot of sense because it gives you energy. This power bank tank can output up to 100 watts, which is plenty enough to charge my MacBook Pro. Plus its size makes it perfect for my backpack. I've also been pairing it with my Switch, keeping me gaming for longer, but to be honest, I'm an average gamer at best. This power bank also has rapid self-charging, with a crazy 90 watt max input, reaching 55% capacity capacity in 15 minutes. That's enough juice to charge an iPhone 15. Dude, that's kind of wild. And personally, I'm a big fan of its built-in screen that shows real-time info such as voltage, power output, and the remaining time for both charging and recharging. This thing is high power and lightweight, which is the best of both worlds, making it a great backup for those intense Beat Saber rounds with the boys. Let's freaking go, boys. So if you're looking for a new power bank to keep your gear charged, check out the Powerbank 10 using the link in my description. And a huge shout out to CookTech for sponsoring this video. Okay, good morning. It is the next day and I'm so stoked that I got the Creeper to work. It looks so good. Let's build our main character. And who better to fill that role than Steve? But see, Steve is a little trickier to animate than a Creeper. And I'm not going to be a silly goose this time. I'm looking for a Steve model that's already been animated, which could be a lot to ask for. But again, animation is not my forte, so I hope I find something. Now, there's a lot of really well-modeled and animated Steves out there on the internet, but I quickly realized it wasn't going to be as simple as I had hoped. Each one of these Steve models comes with different animations, and those animations were specifically made for that model. One had a great idle animation, but then no walking animation, and then one had a great running animation, but no idle animation. I tried to mix and match these animations, but I wasn't having any luck. Until I stumbled across this 3D model. Not only did it look pretty dang good, but it also had the words Mixamo animation in its description. I swear I've heard of that before. Corridor Crew. They talked about it in a video. God bless you, Corridor Digital. See, Mixamo is this free library of animation loops for 3D models. And as long as those 3D models have the same standard armature and rig, then you could use all of these animations with that 3D model. So I bought this Steve model, downloaded a bunch of the animations, and I couldn't freaking believe it. This Steve 3D model was rigged perfectly to handle Mixamo animations. Now that Steve is animated and looking so good, I need to work out how to control him. And I'm thinking I want to control him with the Oculus controllers. I'm such a big fan of VR games that have you as like a third person to the action. So the goal is to somehow control Steve like an RC car around the room. See, up until this point, the simple games that I've built like Horror VR Pong have just worked off simple movements like waving your arms around. And I have a feeling using the controller inputs would be a little trickier than that. And it sure was. But don't worry, I had a backup plan. Throughout this process, I've been following a really great tutorial on building mixed reality games. And that tutorial also came with a bunch of assets and code that I could use. So I spent a hot minute looking at the code. I mean, a really long hot minute, trying to understand what it was doing and how it was working. And when I realized I had no idea what was going on, I just connected Steve straight to the code. And it looked like it was kind of working. So I added some extra code to trigger those awesome animations that Steve had. I tried a bunch of things, don't know if they'll work, so let's give it a go. Okay. Let's go. Yes. That's so sick. I was one step closer to a fully functional Minecraft mixed reality game. Except as you can see, it's not really much of a game. So let's give this bad boy an objective. And I'm thinking we keep it simple, like an arcade game. So I think the objective of the game will be to collect diamonds, because we all know diamonds are a Minecraft player's best friend. Is that the saying? So I found these spicy looking diamond models online and threw them into Unity. As cool as they looked, I knew I had to give them a little life. So with my newfound animation knowledge, I animated the diamonds to bounce up and down. And I added some code that would offset the animation so they didn't bounce all at the same time. We're getting fancy now, boys. With the diamonds good to go, I had to work out how to spawn them into the play area. Now, unlike typical VR games, mixed reality games have a different play area because the scene and the environment is literally your actual reality. We obviously don't want diamonds spawning in random parts of the game. They need to all spawn in the current room the player is in. But again, luckily for me, there was some code in that tutorial I've been following that literally does just that. So I took that same bit of code and simplified it, and then adapted it to spawn the diamonds when the game launched. Easier said than done, but it's technically working. Kind of. Yeah, for some reason the diamonds were loading at the weirdest heights throughout the room. They should be loading on the ground. So in a last-ditch attempt, I threw the code into ChatGPT. And surprisingly, it found the problem right away. For some reason, the tutorial code was spawning at eye level. So weird. So all I had to do was delete that line of code and everything was loading up. So now it's time to add some stakes. Let's make collecting these diamonds a pain in the butt. And to do that, we'll need to bring the creepers back into the equation. Spawning the creepers was pretty straightforward using that tutorial code. And to make it feel more polished, I added in a nether portal for the creepers to spawn from. I don't know if that's proper Minecraft lore, but it looks good. The next step was to work out how to get the creepers to chase Steve. And I couldn't really get my head around how to get them to move. Do I use AI? Do I use like a plugin? Oh man, no more plugins. Well, according to the tutorial I was watching, the best way to create AI movement is using a thing called a nav mesh. A nav mesh in Unity just defines where an AI system can move. And then you can use Unity's built-in AI system to move those characters around. Sound complicated? That's because it is. And I was racking my brain trying to work out how to get these creepers to follow Steve around the room. And after hours of attempts and trying to work out how to make it happen, it was starting to drive me crazy. Oh man, I feel like I was on such a roll with this project. I was having a blast the whole way through. It's crazy, man, because it's so close. Sound effects are done, particles are done, the score system is done, everything is done. And it's crazy how quickly it went from being enjoyable to just like the biggest pain in the butt. You know, when I was like 14, 15, I would literally just spend every afternoon after school just goofing around and starting so many different projects. I just loved trying new things. Like I loved learning about filmmaking and I loved learning about coding and building websites. And it honestly didn't really matter. As long as I was creating something and making something, I was having so much fun. But something I realized as I got older is that when I was 14, 15 and doing all these goofy projects, I would just give up on them so quickly. You don't want to sit next to me, Scouty? See, as soon as a project I was working on was getting too hard, maybe a website I was building or a video I was editing, as soon as it got too hard and it wasn't fun anymore, I just stopped. I would just give up on it. And the only reason I can think of why I gave up on them was that I just lost interest. They just weren't enjoyable anymore. But knowing that I'm going to be a dad is kind of scary. It's the ultimate project. It's the big project. It is the project. And unlike all my other projects, I can't just give up on being a dad when it's no longer fun, when it's no longer enjoyable. I can't just not be a dad anymore. But I've heard some really good advice that goes something like this. If you want to do something for a long time, find a way to make it enjoyable. And right now, this freaking Minecraft game, it's not enjoyable, dude. I don't like smacking my head against the table when I don't know how to do something. It sucks, but I want to finish this project. I want to build this Minecraft mixed reality game, which means I need to find a way to make it enjoyable. And I think I have an idea. See, there is something else 15-year-old Zach would have loved making. And that's a custom soundtrack. I know, that sounds like a real left turn, but I loved making music as a kid. And I feel like this cheesy mixed reality Minecraft arcade game needs a soundtrack. But it's been a while since I've made some music, so let's see how this goes. So I dove headfirst into Logic for the first time in a long time, and I started recording a melody that I could never forget. This Minecraft track Sweden has to be one of my favorites, but let's spice it up a little. So I threw in some drums, added a bass, and honestly, I was kind of surprised how good this sounded. This song is a freaking jam, dude. Woo! That is a freaking jam. Let's go. And so with the custom soundtrack done, I added it to the game. And while I was there, I was able to get the creepers to work. All that's left now is to try it out in mixed reality. I guess I should just give it a go. Okay, let's see if it's working. I hope I haven't done anything to break this. There he is. Okay, Steve's back, baby. This is... That looks so good. This is kind of wild, hey. Oh. Oh my gosh, the animations look so good. That looks so good. Look at him, dude. This is so crazy. It feels like a legit game, even though it's super broken. Everything's broken, but it feels so legit. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I spent a few hours just running around my house with Steve. I just couldn't get over how funny it was to have Steve jumping off my couch or standing on my dog. And those Mixamo animations looked so dang good. It brought Steve to life. Oh, that's too cool.